Hey, I'm Flora, and this is another episode of Jam Packed Business Made Easy with AI. Today's episode is a special one for me. I get to talk to Charlie, our family astrologer and a longtime practitioner and business owner based in Texas. He talks about how he's been intentionally using tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney in his work, studies, and creative process. We talk about how AI can help translate ideas across disciplines, support content creation without replacing your voice, and open up new possibilities for practitioners who are blending traditional knowledge with modern tools. If you've been wondering what it looks like to use AI thoughtfully, not just for productivity, but for insight and creativity, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Yay, Charlie, we're here. How are you today?
Yeah, dealing with the colds. I got out for a nice brisk walk, which was nice.
Good for you.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. And where are you today?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, cool. Is that in your
Yes,
office or your
this is my
room?
home.
Oh, cool.
It's my little nook, my little readings nook. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how many books are you reading right now?
Oh gosh, that on how you count. The thing is, the book. I did just finish a book,
Okay.
a fiction book, but I read a lot of nonfiction books, and I am often listening to them or reading them in chapters and chunks. And so in the last month, I've probably picked up 7 or 8 different books.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
And is that a skill?
Yeah.
Is that a name
I
of a skill when you can read like multiple books at a time?
think it's called ADD.
Okay, so Charlie, I know and love you, and you know me pretty well. I joke that you probably know me intimately more than most people just because you have been a friend and my go-to astrologer for several years now, and you've done readings with me and my dad and me and my mom, and you've done them with my stepmom, and you're about to do one with me and my sister, and you know the charts of my kids and you know the charts of my husband. So I feel like you know me pretty intimately, but I don't know you very well, and I
Aw,
am so excited to get to know you more today.
right on.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. If how do you introduce yourself to people and tell us a little bit about some of your skill sets?
Well, it often depends on the audience,
That's fair.
how I introduce myself. Well, um, yeah, I also very enamored with a couple different spiritual traditions that I spend a lot of time studying. I'm a longtime student of Qigong, which is a kind of um, internal alchemy, body transformation approach that comes from China. Very connected with Chinese medicine as well as Tai Chi. Um,
Cool.
I also am a student of the Western esoteric tradition, especially the tradition which was founded by Rudolf Steiner and is housed in Switzerland. I was a student for 4 years, and I also was for many years the weekly journal, which has been produced there since over 100 years.
Wow.
The English translation of it and did translate and wrote for them, and I'm actually transitioning out of it, but that has been a major part of my life for a long time, and I'm a definite student. One of the books that I was reading and was a book on the heart from the perspective of anthroposophic medicine,
Wow.
which is connected with this esoteric. Basically speaking about how the view of the heart as a pump is very limited, and the blood itself has a movement to it. Um, and also thinking about the heart as like this much more important than the Western model, the typical Western allopathic model
Can you
typically
give
gives
us
it.
a glimpse?
Well, yeah. So on one level, we can speak about the heart as a sense organ. So it listens to what's going on in the body, and we have some deeper knowing that might be, we could call it emotional or intuitive, that is centered in the heart or below the cognitive level. Yeah, I also think of the heart as sort of balance. And so it sort of weaves between the top of the body and the bottom part of the body and the center and the periphery. And something about the symbol of the cross being like pointing to the heart in the human structure. So if we imagine ourselves like standing with our feet together and it makes a kind of cross.
Yeah, of
and
course.
the center is the heart.
Wow.
Yeah. And so on some level, we could really call it a picture of the human being. And a lot of times in modern day culture, we think of ourselves as the head, or we put our head, really shouldn't be.
So you are basically a student of life.
Yeah, that's a good description. At least right now. Yeah, a lot of.
And what brought you here? Like what what brought you to study in Europe for 4 years? What got you to that?
Don't know if I've got a great answer for that.
Okay.
I send myself a kind of change of personality, like a shift of in college when I had a very bad fit that turned into like a year and a half long saga of illness, depression, and kind of just total instability. And during that time, I recognized that I had a deep to explore spirituality.
Well,
And also finding that a lot of the voices that included these sort of more fringe aspects of human experience made the most real and authoritative. And I was in college and like I felt a lot of the stuff I was studying was, or phony or like surface level or I feel like I had a sort of intellectual and spiritual awakening kind of at the same time. And that continued. And, for the last 15 years, I guess, I've just been this reader and have a large, especially for like, a very broad range of perspectives.
yeah.
Yeah.
So man, every time I talk to you, I'm like, we could talk for so long. So take me to 2022 and people are starting to use AI on a more intentional level and people are, getting familiar with ChatGPT and, Midjourney, becomes a big thing. I feel like it would be safe to assume that someone of your intellect and your creativity would almost put a barrier up for AI because it's like, I don't know, not using your own muscles, right? And then when I dig into that deeper, I'm like, well, no, Charlie's also a very realistic guy. These new tools are available to him. Of course, he'd want to dig in to explore those. So in your own, in your own experience, tell me like, what was that journey for you when AI came out to, the mass public?
Mm-hmm. So my first real, actually for the first several years, maybe first couple years that AI was Steam, my main interactions with it were for creative purposes. So in 2022, I was still in Switzerland as a student at an art school. Actually, most of this art behind me is my doing watercolor painting.
Cool.
And was doing a research project on Rudolf Steiner's color for the zodiac, which is something that I still enjoy exploring.
Yeah.
And immediately, the tools like Midjourney add ways to explore imagination.
Cool.
I would say I'm not a very technically skilled artist, but I love the creative process. And I felt very quickly that I could create images that corresponded more closely to my imagination through Midjourney than I could by hand.
Well, maybe part of that is because you're so articulate and like intentional with your words that you were able to put what you saw and what you envisioned through your words, right? Through typing it into a prompt, yeah?
So, 100%. And a lot of my use with AI also quickly turned into images for my astrological publications. So I can post on Instagram and um, you know, definitely feel a little worry that people would experience it as gaudy or what have you. But for the most part, I get pretty good responses to the art that I make, um, because I feel like they're closely tied to other things that I'm getting at, or ways to convey it. Yeah,
So
yeah,
how
and
do you explain? Oh, no, tell me.
then I think it's actually only been in the last year or so that I've started using ChatGPT much more intensively. So I've used AI art generation at least for 3 years now. And for the last year, I'm talking with ChatGPT for lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great study tool, um, way to kind of translate between different forms of thought that I'm within. If I'm studying that has to do with Western biochemistry, ChatGPT, as to how that might translate to uh, medicine or astrology or what have you.
Because you're essentially able to connect with all of these experts, quote unquote, through AI, right? So you are able to, I mean, I know in Club Jam we talk a lot about the act as prompt, right? So with my 18-year-old poodle, right? I would have said, act as a veterinarian cardiologist. These are her reports. Tell me, blah, blah, blah. So we talk a lot about this like act as prompt. I imagine you do
Mm-hmm.
similar things, right? So you kind of talk to a traditional Chinese medicine expert or, right?
I actually have seldom used prompts. I just kind
Okay.
of ask it.
Yeah. Was that not a
And
prompt?
originally, I guess I would have just prompted like, you know, I've just spent so much time talking to it about Chinese medicine that it now something
Yeah.
that I'm interested in,
Yeah.
and in explaining something to me, it will allude to Chinese medicine concepts in order to convey.
So, I mean, you are this lifelong learner. It makes perfect sense that you're using it to continue your learning. I think it's really fun to learn more about your background at art school and how you're using it for that. I'm curious, do you
Mhm.
use it for your business? Because I mean, you're also a business owner.
I do, yeah. I think of it largely as like a copy conversation partner. So I am brimming with ideas for articles, and a lot of my career can be things that just come out of me in a pretty disorganized manner. And I'll do like, okay, here are 10,000 thoughts, X topic. How does this all make sense? Or like, me structure or organize this. And so I found um, basically accelerating writing process. Or I'll like, put a draft into ChatGPT and say like, okay, what am I are there inconsistencies here, or um, are there better ways that I could say X, Y, or Z? Um, yeah. So into, content production for Instagram, posts into carousels or scripts for Instagram Reels. And of course, all of it I take as suggestions.
Yeah.
Times I my will almost rewrite everything that it gets and put it in my own voice. There's a lot of like tasting. Like, does this taste good? Yeah, does this taste like what I was trying to like I think there's a lot of kind of aesthetic sensing that goes on with a relationship with ChatGPT. And then on my business end, I wish more things that I could automate or go through, like, just help get done for me. But mostly it's good conversation partner. It can help me plan things out or help me understand what's going on, or ways of reorganizing, business offerings or things like that. Yeah, I have not gotten to the like vibe coding or creating to do things for me yet. Haven't really seen a clear to that yet. Although I'm always, whenever I have time, I think, yeah.
So what are you excited to dig into as far as AI that you haven't yet?
I think I would like to try vibe coding eventually. There was a period of time after college where I was very interested in learning to code and never quit. I just kind of got on with life. And I think I could make some interesting, like, I've thought about making an app for Chinese medicine that can help diagnose and give suggestions for people.
So cool.
And I could probably do something medical astrology. Yeah, a little bit out of my league though, and I'm like pretty much like I don't really take weekends. I like I'm in like half work, but I don't know. I think eventually I could make my own kind of like an assistant for my kind of divinatory astrological work. And like so many different sort of perspectives that I like to consult or draw upon. And if I could get all those kind of in place and get ChatGPT to search through them or reference them, that would be really cool.
So
those are all like projects for a long weekend whenever that happens.
yeah, well, and I have a feeling by the time this gets released in a few weeks, you will listen back and be like, I started making progress on this. I started making progress on this.
I bet, yeah.
No, it wasn't meant to be. Well, thank you so much. Where can people find, your offerings, your services, a little bit more about you?
Yeah, I'm at crossastrology.com and charlie.substack.com. That's where I write. And then I'm at Charlie Cross with 4 S's at the end. Charlie Cross.
Okay. And why the 4 S?
That's pretty good. I was just a silly kid. I just haven't. Oh, I don't know. It works. Yeah.
Cool. And what's the rest of your day like?
The rest of my day, I've got study group tonight, and I want to go to the sauna place at some point. I just had a long class. I've got studying to do class, and I've got an exam next week, and so I will likely. I often will put on Sanctuary, which is the app through. That's sort of a pay per minute sort of thing. Put that on if someone wants to call. Just go study. Otherwise,
awesome. Cool.
That's my day.
Well, it sounds like you have a magical day ahead of you. You've done such a great job creating so much magic around you and sharing it with others. So I feel so grateful to to know you and be a part of your journey, and I'm excited to continue following it.
Likewise, Flora.
Talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.